Hey
Noah
guys.
and Betty here, going over this week's small groups is Go Local and our new study, The Quest. The text comes from Matthew chapter 28, verses 16 through 20, and Acts 1, 6 through 8. It is our calling from Jesus to go into the world and share his gospel. It go to your next door neighbor, your fellow students at school that's coming up soon, and just ask them how they're doing. Try to brighten their day up. It don't have to be nothing major, nothing, hey, look at this, just, can I pray for you? It's a simple question.
Yeah, and then like some things like the things that our high school boys do with David, where they go out and do some mission stuff to fundraise for trips, and things like Room in the Inn that our church does, and then also journey bags that McKenna has done in the past. Just different stuff like that you can always connect up with. And then of course, like Noah just said, just saying, hey, can I pray for you? You can do that at any point. Me as a server, I've never been asked by a guest before they pray for their food how they can pray for me. But I feel like but I've been able to do that with my guests, with servers that I've had before, and it really just like brightens their day, and it lets you get to know them just a little bit more, because we're all going through different things in our lives, and we're all dealing with different things, and it's helpful for non-believers and also believers to see that, like, here's a teenager willing to like spread the gospel. Here's a teenager, a person younger than I am, willing to step out and be Jesus to others.
Yeah. Plus, you don't know what that server's going through at that time. I mean, it could be just a little thing. Just that one question, how can I pray for you, could just set her day to a better day. We want to start going on the question. I think is what is one thing that stands out to you from this week's message?
So, talking about the message that Eric and Amanda did for week 1 of this Go Local. If you haven't watched that, go. If you haven't watched that already, you need to have already watched it. But something that I really enjoyed of the study, and a couple of things that stood out to me were, one is begin where your audience is and then tell them about Christ. It's basically meet people where they are and love them where they are at, because if you don't do that, then they won't ever get to the point that you're wanting them to be. And then the love we have for our neighbors should be compelling us towards this mission. We should have, like, the love that we have for the people that we see every day should be compelling us, and should be compelling us and helping us to strive to see them become Christians, and to see them love Christ the way that we do, and to have salvation. Because really, you never, like, it's hard to think about, but like one day that person is going to die, and you had all of these opportunities and all of these moments that you could have shared the gospel, and you didn't, and you're gonna think, well, what could I have done? Well, you could have shared the gospel with them, because then they would get to have eternity in heaven just like you. And then another is, we always think of it as go out and make disciples. So we always, when it comes to the Great Commission, so we always think, oh, I don't need to make disciples right here. I have to go all the way to somewhere else to do that. But it's really disciple as you go. Like, make disciples as you're going. Do this as you're going, as you're living your daily life.
Another thing that stood out to me in Eric and Amanda's that first week was the movie The Goonies. If you haven't seen it, you need to go watch it. It's a very good movie.
I haven't seen the
You need to
whole
watch The
thing.
Goonies. It's about a little bit about it is these set of teenagers that found a treasure map, and their houses are getting foreclosed by a highly rich person in the in the area. He wants to make it like a mall where they live, and they follow this map and follow this journey and find all these riches. And if you follow Jesus step for step and go to Him, you're going to have all the riches you will ever want to have. So if you go out and just ask one person, how's your day? Or if you're making that one step at a time, trying to be like Jesus, taking that step down the road, you'll eventually get it going. And then you'll start discipling more and more and more down the road. But I think if you watch the movie The Goonies and think about how Jesus, what He was doing down the road, it almost not ties all the way in, but it is close. How do Christians' faith and desires for fame get tangled up together?
I feel like sometimes as Christians, which I mean, when we serve, like sometimes we feel like we need a pat on the back for serving, and we really don't. Like, that's not the thing that we should be striving for, because if that's what we're striving for, is for a pat on the back, a great job, you did awesome, like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you for serving. Like, if we're trying to get that here, that's not where our hearts aren't in the right place, because you should be serving, one, because you're called to, and two, because that's what Jesus, well, again, that's what we're called to. Like, that's what we're called to do. And if your heart is in it for the fame or for recognition from other people, then your heart's not in the right place for it.
If you're thinking about trying to get famous, make tons of money doing like Scott Dawson, evangelist. If you're thinking about doing that, then your heart's in the wrong position from the get-go. Your heart should be, I want to save that one person that don't know Jesus. I want to get to him or her. It could be either one. That's what I think. As a Christian, being a Christian faith, that's what you should be doing. You should be wanting the money. You don't want it for fame. You don't want it hey, Jesus, look what I'm doing. It's not about that. He sees what you're doing, and he recognizes you.
Yeah, and the whole purpose of being a Christian and sharing the gospel isn't so that our names will be known. It's so that His name will be known. That Jesus' name will be known by others, not our names.
Question 3 is, what is the gospel?
Ooh, that's a hard one.
I say gospel is anytime you're speaking about Jesus, you're telling the gospel. You're quoting what He's done already in the world.
Yeah.
And you're going down His path.
Yeah, definitely.
How do you talk about it with a neighbor? I think if you do the same thing I said, if you just go up to them and say, hey, how are you doing? How can I pray for you?
Yeah.
That's how you can get a step going. I'm not go there, hey, let me pray for you. Just ask. Hey, is there anything I can pray for you about?
Yeah.
Just the little things.
Yeah.
And it'll start
Yeah.
going down the road fast.
Definitely. And then plus just meeting people where they are and trying to relate to people. We each have a testimony, whether big or small or however your testimony may be, and your testimony can reach people because that is how Jesus has worked in your life. And once you can share that with someone, then you can tell them, like, if you have relations in your testimony or just sharing your testimony and how Jesus has changed your life, then you can also share the gospel of Jesus's life and this is why go from the story of your life then to the story of Jesus's life and be like, this is why He's so important to me.
What does it mean to disciple as you're already going versus having to go far away to evangelize?
I feel like discipling as you are going is living basically just living like Jesus every single day, like not just going through the motions of life, not just letting the rest of the world like control how you react, being able to change, being able to. It always reminds me of Josh Gregg's you're either a thermostat or a thermometer, one where you either are affecting the area that's around you or it's affecting you. So if you're allowing the world to affect you, then you're not doing if you're allowing the world to change you, then you're not really doing the greatest job of discipling others and showing others Jesus.
What are you talking about? Like when we did the rafting trip last year, when Brother Rick was talking about being all in for Jesus.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, when you're discipling, you got to be all in. If you're just got 1 foot in and 1 foot out, you're not doing what you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
You're not doing what He's calling you to do.
Yeah, definitely.
Talk about sharing the gospel in your Jerusalem or Judea, the place that's close by. What is the invitation and challenge to sharing gospel close to home?
I'm going to start with the challenge. So the challenge is probably that these people know you. These people have probably seen you every single day of your life since you were born, or at least for a long period of time. So we all have like insecurities, and we'd all be like afraid to share the gospel with others because they may judge you for who you are and be like, who are you to share the gospel or something like that. It's just really the fear of putting ourselves out there, because when it comes to like going to another country, it's possible that you may not go back. So for that 2 weeks, it's so much easier to share the gospel with others and to step out of there, because you're already out of your comfort zone. But because you're here and you're in your comfort zone and you're in your local area, it's a little bit harder to want to step out of your comfort zone while still sitting in it.
That's what, yeah. I second that, because if you think about it, like the song Nobody, how David had stage fright. When you're at your home church or your local, like everybody knows you, you're going to have stage fright. You're going to not want to open up because you're scared the person next to you or somebody's going to be like, well, why is he talking about Jesus when the other night I saw him doing this?
Yeah.
But if you just say, and just start being, like we were talking about, being all in for Jesus, and don't worry about what other people want to think about you, just worry about what He wants you to do.
Yeah.
I think you'll be okay.
Yeah. And then the invitation part of it is that, like, you're going to change the lives of the people that you know. These are people that you see, that you very much care about, just like how the love we have for our neighbors should compel us to share the gospel with them, because the love you have for them should compel you to do that, so that you can change their lives for the better.
What is criticism? Oh wow, you go ahead and do that.
What excites you about the Great Commission?
He gives me all correct.
And what scares you? And what is the promise of Jesus for you?
I'll say the promise that Jesus already gave us is a better place in heaven.
Yeah, definitely. And like, what probably scares us about the Great Commission is, of course, like going out, like stepping out of our comfort zone, stepping out of what we're used to share with others. But what excites me is just the fact that, like, Jesus could have chosen literally anyone. He didn't have to choose me. He could have done all of this on his own. He didn't have to have the disciples. He didn't have to do any of this. Like, God didn't even have to give us free will, but He did. And it excites me of the fact that He cares so much about us that he wants us to be a part of his story and of his plan in allowing, like, that he just even wants us a part of it, a part of the gospel, a part of sharing the gospel. Like, he's willing to give us the job of doing it, because he could do it himself, but he wants us to do it. And then, what's one practice or habit we can do together to begin sharing the gospel in our schools, workplaces, and neighborhoods?
Just like we've been saying the whole time, is just ask them if we can pray for them. That's just the one way we can start it.
Yeah.
Because once they see they can open up to you, it's going to lead to a better friendship, and it's going to lead to a deeper conversation sometimes.
Yeah.
If it's just, you can tell they're having a bad day, hey, can I pray for you real quick? That's all you have to do is just pray, ask them if you can pray for them. You don't have to sit there and pray with them, just pray, say, hey, can I pray for you?
Yeah. And like, we always, and then you may be afraid of offending that person or maybe like angering that person, but honestly, if that person gets offended, then that's your way to pray for them. Is, even though they didn't outright tell you, that's your way to pray for them. Like, if I ask someone if I can pray for them and they get offended and angry with me, then that's my moment to know, okay, they need God, they just don't want him right now, so I'm going to pray for them through that.
Yep.
And then, last question is, how can we pray for you? How can we as leaders pray for you? We now have an email account. I know, really old people. Not really, but we now have an email account that y'all can email us with, or you can text one of the leaders, just any of the leaders. If you don't have our numbers, you can get them, but this email is so that you guys can let us know just different things that you're going through, how we can pray for you, just different stuff like that. And the email is students.fbccs@gmail.com, and that is how you can let us know how we can pray for you.
If you need our numbers, text Brother Eric or Brother David, and they'll give you our numbers.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to do it.
Or you can also email
The website.
Send an email to the email that we just said, students.fbccs@gmail.com, and just ask us for your phone numbers, because that might also be very easy. So with that, we done?
We're done.
All right. Love you guys.
Love y'all.
See y'all next week. Bye.